Lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. If you would like to ask a question during this time, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. To withdraw your question, press the pound key. I will now turn the call over to Mike Kern. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Stephanie, and we will go ahead and get started. We do have our first coach on the call with us. It's Greg Lansing of Indiana State. Sycamores are at Northern Iowa on Wednesday and close out the regular season at home Saturday against Bradley. And this time we welcome Greg to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike.
Team's not playing real well, and 7-9 record, but a win at Northern Iowa will do a lot to right the ship. Talk about what you got going on for Northern Iowa and your game plan for the Panthers.
Mike, that's putting it pretty nicely. Not playing as well as we'd liked. We have, from 3 weeks ago being tied for second place to where we are right now is very disappointing, and got to find a way to finish this last week strong, improve, and then go into St. Louis feeling a little bit better about ourselves. But, we just got our tail kicked by two really good teams in the last two games, and then you get a gift of going to Northern Iowa on senior night, and obviously one of the best teams in the league and very, very good and playing well. So some things got to change for us to have a chance.
Thanks, Greg. Let's get down to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Greg Lansing.
Press star, then the number 1. Again, star, then the number 1.
Greg, no questions are populating, so we're going to let you go. Thanks for your time, and good luck at Cedar Falls. Thanks, Greg. Our next scheduled coach is Coach Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. He'll be on in just a moment. A couple of conference news and notes. We will announce our pairings following Saturday's February 27th regular season games. If there is a tie that can't be broken by head-to-head, we will wait until Sunday morning. Our second tiebreaker after head-to-head is the Jim Sukup RPI report, which will be factoring all games from Saturday, including non-conference games. So we'll need to wait till Sunday morning, perhaps, to announce our seeds, as overall RPI is the second tiebreaker after head-to-head. Wichita State, meanwhile, did claim the regular season championship. It's their third in a row, fourth in the last 5 years. The Shockers will be the number 1 seed, and will play the noon game on Friday, the winner of the 8-9 game. No other position in the seed order is known, and the widest variance in seed possibilities is with Northern Iowa. They could be either the 2 seed or the 8 seed, and anywhere in between, sitting at 9 and 7, heading into the final week of the regular season. Wichita State's 10 regular season crowns ranks among the all-time leaders in conference history, trailing only 3 teams. Oklahoma State and Creighton had 15 titles shared and outright in their conference history. Kansas had 13. Wichita State has 10, and all 10 have been outright titles for the Shockers. Two teams enter the week with an RPI of under 85, with Wichita State 44 this morning in the RPI, Evansville at 83. 3 others just outside of 100, with Northern Iowa at 109, Illinois State at 111, and Southern Illinois at 121. At this time, we do have Coach Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. The Panthers opening up with Indiana State on Wednesday, closing at Evansville on Saturday. The Evansville game will be on CBS Sports Network on national television. And at this time, we welcome Coach Jacobson to the phone. Good morning, Ben.
Hey, good morning, Mike.
Nice win against Illinois State the other day, and Indiana State, another opponent that's searching for a victory. The Sycamores haven't won in 5 straight and scuffling a little bit. But talk about your game with Indiana State. They got to the last time.
Yeah, they, it appears, Mike, we've all gone through it. I shouldn't say all of us. Most of us, this year have gone through a little stretch. We certainly had ours. 2.5 weeks where guys were fighting hard and playing pretty hard, just not playing quite well enough, or just off track, just slightly. And with those seniors, with that backcourt, some of the younger guys, some of the newer guys that Gregg's got, and he's been doing this long enough. They're obviously going to continue to play extremely hard, and as they showed when we were at their place, they're very capable of getting us and really anybody else in the league. So we've got to see if we can't keep doing what we're doing here, Mike, and practice. And we've practiced well. Our guys obviously have turned the corner here a little bit, and we're playing our best basketball. So we'll see if we can't keep it going here on Wednesday.
Thanks, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Ben Jacobson.
Press star then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, star then the number 1. Our first question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Ben, you were just talking about you won 7 of 8. You can't really. Is there something particular you can point to over those last 8 games? And then could you also comment on how those young post players that earlier in the year you were telling us, boy, they're going to develop and be good, how much of an impact they've made in this late run?
Yeah, and I would say that our younger guys, Wyatt Lohaus has played his best 3 games here. He played great at Wichita State. He played good at Loyola. He played very well again against Illinois State. Bennett Cook has had a good conference season. He when he hasn't been in foul trouble, he's been highly effective for us, and our team has done a better job of trying to get him involved and get him touches. Because he gives us a guy who can score it on the block, and then he's been in the foul line quite a bit for us, and then a little bit of the wild card. Clint Carlson has had a 7-8 game stretch here, a better part of a month, where he's played really well. So I think those, to answer your first question, I think the development of those younger guys and how they have played for us, just it's given us 7 guys, and then Ted Friedman has provided some good minutes. But we've just, having 7 guys playing well and 7 guys playing with a lot of confidence has made a big difference for us, Harry. For a while there, the 3 seniors and Jeremy had played pretty good basketball, but hard to do it with, just 3 or 4 guys, of course. So I think a lot of our playing better is those young guys have done a good job. They've really come along.
What is it about Loyola that you guys got swept by them? Is it some kind of matchup thing, or just happens to turn out that way?
Well, they've defended us well. In the game at our place, I think it was 38-38 with maybe 5 minutes left there, and both teams were fighting hard and defending hard, and we had a difficult time, getting baskets. I think we shot 26% in that game, and then in the game at their place, it's in the 50s again. I think they're defensively they're good. Their matchup is a little bit harder one for us. That's that smaller lineup when they play Milton at the 4, and so they've got 4 guards out there, and James is a different kind of center. They move around well enough, and they're able to switch some screens, and they're able to put pressure on us, and that's given our offense some trouble in both games.
Thanks a lot. Good luck this week.
Okay, thanks, Jerry.
Coach, that was your last question. Thank you for your time this morning, and good luck this week.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
See you, Jake. We do have Coach Ray Jackaletti of Drake with us. Drake playing at Missouri State on Wednesday, and then closing out the regular season at home against Loyola on Saturday. This time we'd like to welcome Coach Ray Jackaletti to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
Well, let's talk about Missouri State, if you will. Preview Wednesday's game against the Bears, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Yeah, just kind of get started with tape here this morning, second time around with them, and obviously, I got three guys playing well in the conference, scoring it for them, DeQuan Miller and Kendricks and Boone, and do a lot of different things with high-low and sealing with those bigs and kind of putting you in some unique situations to be able to guard those perimeters with whether it be dribble weave or pin down after pin or stagger after pin down. So the perimeter defenders are going to have to do a great job of talking and communicating, and our bigs can't be sealed and because they do a really good job with the high-low. So offensively, I think, you got kind of two different scenarios that you got to be able to be aware of. And I know they've lost a couple games here, but they've played pretty darn well, especially with a lot of young guys and a lot of injuries.
And then the same goes for your team. You had two close games this week, Evansville at home and then Bradley on the road, and the team seems to be fighting till the end of every game. Talk about the progress of your team, the results have not been.
I'm proud of them. We may not have got a win this week, but we got better as a team. The Evansville game was two huge possessions where we went zone and they hit threes at the end of each one of them at the end of the clock, and Valentine was the guy at both of them, and both were as good as we could have defended, and just a good player knocking a shot down. And it was the hard one to swallow Saturday because for 35 minutes we played pretty well on the road and led, and just did not do some things down the stretch, making free throws, taking care of the basketball. Had a free throw line a violation on a miss, and then they made the next two, and it just fell awful for our guys. They had a good focus and stayed the course. In the last 5 minutes, we were up 9-5.5, I think, to go, and same scenario. They hit a big shot. Thomas hit a big shot at the end of the clock. I hit a three. Well contested, and just a good player stepping up and making a better play out of it. So our team got better, but it was we did not get rewarded.
Coach, thank you. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Ray Jackal. Questions from the media.
Press star, then the number 1, your telephone keypad. Again, star, then the number 1 to ask your question. Again, star, then the number 1.
Coach, you referenced your bigs, but Dominic Lenachek has had a great second half of the season, if you will. Talk about his progress and how he's been playing of late for you.
Yeah, he's a guy that has great potential, and I think it took him a little bit of time, first half of the season, to kind of feel comfortable, kind of how the college game works, and there's days when, just like I think any other freshman, when he's really, really good, and there's days that he's still a work in progress. But the second half here of the conference season, he's been more consistent. He's shooting the ball at a really high clip. I don't know what it is exactly today, but it's above 70% from the field in conference. What is it right now? 77% from the field. And we need to continue to do a better job to try to get him as many touches as we can. And that's something that we seem to do a pretty good job of practicing, and it's got to be able to get carried over into games. We need Dominic to be a little bit more dominant and better defensively, protecting the rim and being a better post defender. But all in all, I think he's got a really bright future, and to finish strong is really important for him and for our program.
Coach, thank you very much for your time this morning. No questions in the queue for you, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
Thank you.
See you, Rick. Next coach on the line is a couple minutes early and ahead of schedule, but we do have Paul Lusk, so we're going to have Paul join us now. Missouri State hosting Drake on Wednesday, and then the Bears will close out the regular season in Carbondale against Southern Illinois. Both games will be on ESPN3. Morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mike.
Well, let's talk about Drake, preview the Bulldogs, and what can you tell us about your game on Wednesday?
Well, you know, Ray's done a good job with those guys. I mean, when you lose and you struggle to, you know, where's their mindset, and I watched them both games last week against Evansville, and I watched them against Bradley Saturday, and, you know, they led the entire game and just lost it at the end, but caused a lot of problems for you offensively. They've got good shooters. The big young kid is just really making progress. They've done a great job with him, and they cause a lot of problems. Timmer's a very good player. Abrahamson, he was good at Bradley. He can score it. He's a matchup problem. So we played him the first time. We struggled early. We had a tremendous second half. Cam Boone got injured. We did have Dorian Williams in. Dorian Williams had a good game for us. Obviously, he's out. So it'll be a different set of circumstances and a different game. We'll have to play really good basketball.
Coach, thank you. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Paul Lusk. Questions from the media.
Press star, then the number 1 to ask your question. Star, then the number 1. Our first question is from Todd Heckerman with the Southern Newspaper.
Hey, Paul, it may be tough to tell with your schedule, but just where do you think you're improving right now?
You know what, Todd? You know, we struggled last week at Wichita State. Yesterday against Loyola, I thought we fought. We're not very deep on the perimeter. And you know, two of our better players, Cam Boone and Chris Kendricks, who have done really good things for us, I thought they struggled yesterday, and that affected us. But that happens, and we just didn't have enough to overcome it. That's a good question. Where are we improving? I think Daquan Miller just continues to evolve. There's so much responsibility on him with Dorian being out. But I think he's doing a nice job of taking care of the basketball. I don't know that we improved much last week. I think we struggled in some areas. We've got to be smart with practice right now. Daquan had to scrape himself off the floor a couple times. He's got a deep thigh bruise. We just don't have enough bodies. So we're going to have to be smart. I know a week ago when we did beat Indiana State, I just thought we played our tails off. We were tremendous on the offensive glass. We took care of the basketball. And then we didn't do neither of those things this past week against Wichita. We did not take care of the basketball. We did not hit the offensive glass. And the same thing can be said for yesterday against Loyola. We didn't hit the offensive glass and we didn't take care of the basketball. So we got to be better in those areas.
The two freshmen you're playing a lot, Church and Craiglow, how are they doing physically, and have you done anything in practice? You know, you said you had to kind of pull back because you don't have a lot of bodies, but you have to play those guys a lot of minutes right now, don't you?
Well, I mean, Dixon's the other freshman. Dixon's getting right at almost 10 a game in league play, and both those kids are young. And in terms of Dixon and Craiglow, and they're battling. Obi Church has been really good. They've all been good, but they're freshmen. They're playing a ton of minutes. And with our lack of depth on the perimeter now, you know, we've got three guards. We've got Craiglow, Dixon, and Daquan. And then Kendricks at that wing forward. But been very pleased with those guys, Todd. Very, very pleased with them. But it's a grind for them. It's the first time they've ever been through that. And as I said, not having Dorian out there to really give those guys many subs, it affects them. But we're taking today off, and we're going to have to be really smart moving forward just because of our lack of numbers. But those guys come to work. They're very coachable. All three of them, Obadiah Church, Ryan Krecklow, and Jared Dixon, they've been outstanding as freshmen.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
You bet.
Paul, that was your only line of questioning. Appreciate you joining us this morning, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, good luck this week. Just a couple minutes ahead of our next scheduled coach, it is Barry Hinson of Southern Illinois. The Salukis will play at Illinois State on the NBC television network on Wednesday, and then back at home to play the Bears on Saturday on ESPN3. And we'll hold for just a moment. As we wait for Coach Hinson to join us, we're dialing out to him right now. The league does have three teams with 21 or more victories. That's Wichita State with 21, Southern Illinois with 21, and Evansville with 22. Just one time in the history of the MVC tournament in St. Louis has there been three 21-win teams, and that was in 2010 when we had a team with 21, a team with 23, and a team with 25 heading into the tournament. Should Southern and Wichita State both win at least one game this week, it'll mark the first time we've had teams with 22 or more victories, three teams with 22 or more victories heading into Arch Madness. And we do have Coach Barry Hinson on the line with us. The Salukis opening up their week with a game at Illinois State on the NBC television network on Wednesday, back at home to play Missouri State on Saturday. That Saturday game will be on ESPN3. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Hinson to the phone. Good morning, Barry.
Morning, Michael.
A big game at Illinois State. You got them in a narrow contest the last time at your place. They're a very good basketball team. They've been playing very well. They did drop their last one. But if you can talk about the rematch of the Illinois State game, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, I think we're both entirely different teams than when we played the first time, and I've said this publicly here in our region, and I've also said it on my radio show. I think they're going in until the last game. I thought they were the hottest basketball team in the Valley, and I think I have no reservations making this statement. I think they're without question the most athletic team in the league, and I think Dan's done a phenomenal job with this group of young men, and they're certainly playing really good basketball right now, and we're catching them at a hot point. Of course, we catch them on their last home game for the season, so we know it'll be a great game, and we know what the outlying effects of it are as well.
Thank you, Barry. Let's get now to questions from the media for Coach Barry Hinson.
Press star then the number 1 to ask your question. Star then the number 1. Our first question is from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pantagraph.
Barry, you just kind of alluded to it a little bit that this game has a lot of far-reaching effects. Is that something you're going to talk with the team, or you already have about maybe the impact on the seedings for the conference tournament in this game?
Jim, I don't know. We talked a little bit about it before Evansville, and it didn't go over well with our guys. I thought we were a little frozen. Actually, we were scared. We played scared. So it'll be interesting to see how we approach this game. I can't I can't quite answer that question right now. I'm going to wait till I get up to practice today.
As coaches at this time of the season, when there's just a couple games left, do you guys kind of look at the standings and maybe kind of see maybe where you would fall in the conference tournament, the seedings?
Well, I think we all know that. I mean, everybody knows that. And you can't go by. I went to the dentist office this morning, and then they told me exactly where we would be with each win or loss. So, I mean, this is a basketball area. Everybody loves basketball around here, and certainly, I mean, there's no hidden secret. So everybody knows the impact of what this game means. But at the same time, I think the important thing for us to understand is we weren't even a thought going into this conference season, and we were predicted 9th, and here we have the opportunity to finish 3rd or 4th in the league, and that's quite an improvement to what everybody thought we would be.
Thanks, Barry.
Our next question is from Todd Hepperman with the Southern Newspaper.
Barry, what are your impressions of McIntosh now? Kyle McIntosh?
Well, first of all, you got a kid that can play inside and outside, leading rebounder and one of their best three-point shooters, and he has a great ability to get to the free throw line. He's second in free throw attempts in conference on their team, and this kid's a good player, and he's going to be a really good representative for our league.
And when you look at the stats don't never tell the whole story, but when you look at your numbers for losses, Barry, the only really glaring stat is Tyler and Leo's shooting 20% or less, from the three-point line and not much better from the field. How big a role do you think that plays for you right now?
I think it's the key. When Anthony's not making, we can't win ball games when Anthony misses 13 shots and nobody else can pick up the slack. I mean, it's just we're not going to be able to do it. And our starting guards the other day shot 34%, and our big guys shot 34%. And you just can't. I'm sorry, you can't win ball games. You've got to be able to step up, shoot, make shots, and certainly that's we know that, and that's kind of been our telltale sign.
Is there anything you look at? You have to get those guys moving when they get the ball, or different things you can open up for those two?
I think the biggest thing for us is to share the ball unselfishly and quit panicking and just jacking shots. And if we do that, we obviously take better shots, and I think our percentages go way up.
All right, thank you.
Barry, that was your last question. Appreciate
Thanks,
your time this morning. Yeah, good luck this week.
Yeah, buddy. See you.
All right, bye-bye. Reaching out to Coach Marty Simmons at Evansville. Evansville sitting at 11-5 in the league, tied for second with Illinois State, 22-7 overall, but 22 wins, leads the league heading into the regular season final week. Evansville will play at Bradley on the NBC television network tomorrow night, and then back at home to play Northern Iowa on CBS Sports Network for an afternoon game in Evansville. And we do have Coach Marty Simmons with us. As mentioned, the Evansville Aces will play Bradley tomorrow night, and this time we'd like to welcome Marty to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Let's talk about Bradley. They're coming off of a win against Drake. They had to battle back and won it by 3 points at home. But talk about the Braves and preview tomorrow night's game for us.
Yeah, I think they're playing great. I think they're playing with a ton of confidence, and they've just had a lot of different players step up and make plays. But I think Brian and his staff have done a great job, that they've just continued to get better and better. I mean, they play extremely hard. They play well together. They're getting, good play from their bench. I think it's just a really talented group that's playing with a lot of confidence.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get to the questions for Coach Marty Simmons. Questions from the media.
Press star, then the number 1. Again, star, then the number 1. Our first question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, Marty, this senior group has been pretty special for you. 3 times in the last 4 years, you're over 20 wins. And a guy that doesn't get a lot of notoriety is Wayne. Can you just talk about his kind of quiet contributions to a real successful run for those guys?
Did you say Adam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, love him to death, and he's a football player in that he originally, I think, committed to Marshall to play football, quarterback. So a tough, smart, just does all the intangible things. I mean, lives in the gym. You got to kick him out to get him to leave. Just everything you want in a leader, and doesn't care about points. Just does all the little things, and he's just put together a great year, and he shot it extremely well. He's made a lot of big shots. He does a great job delivering. He gets tough assignments on the defensive end, but I think if you did a poll of our players, he's the one guy, that they enjoy, playing with the most.
Thanks, Marty. Good luck.
Thank you.
Marty, that appears to be the only question that was in the queue for you this morning, and we will see you this week. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Marty. We'll let you go. Appreciate it. Just a minute or two of our next scheduled slot. It is Porter Moser of Loyola, and we do have the coach on the phone, so we're going to go ahead and have him join us at this time. Good morning, Porter.
Morning, Mike.
Your week this week begins with the hottest team in America. They've won their last 3 games by more than 30 points, Wichita State on Wednesday, and then you close out the regular season at Drake. Talk about the Shockers and preview our game on Wednesday, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, thanks for that stat. I had that stat about how much they've won by the last 3 games, but no, you got to give them all the credit in the world. I mean, 3 straight championships. They've really, obviously bounced back since their loss against Northern Iowa in dramatic fashion. I mean, just absolutely thumping everybody. So we got our hands full.
Talk about your team. 4 of the last 5 are wins. In the Evansville game, you got way down, ended up losing by 1, and had the ball with a chance to win the game on the last shot. But talk about your team's success and of late in particular.
Well, we're playing well. We're making some shots that we weren't making early in the year. We're in issues I've talked about with some leadership. They've responded really, really well, and they're doing, their mindsets, their things they're focused on has been all the right things, and therefore I think we're playing our best basketball right now.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Porter Moser. Questions for the coach.
Press star then the number 1 to ask a question. Star then the number 1. Our first question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, Porter, when I look over your stats and your game-by-game stuff, I noticed this, that if James rebounds, you win. Is that the way you see it, too?
You know, Harry, it's interesting you say that. We've kind of said it amongst ourselves and our staff. When he's playing well, we've won. When you look at his biggest struggles, we've struggled. I mean, he's been a key for us. But the best thing that's happened was last game, just yesterday. He started out really struggling. And in the second half, the first two plays that he made were an offensive rebound effort play and a charge. And he's had the MO of when his shots weren't falling, he wasn't rebounding, he wasn't playing defense. And last night was a great sign of him, of looking that he can be a great defender, a great rebounder if his shot's not falling. And but without a question, he's been a key for us because of our lack of depth inside.
When you guys started 0-5 in the league, is there a key thing that turned it around since then?
Well, I think I've talked about, I set some time up. I had like individual meetings away from basketball, out of my office, and just in different venues, and just talked to him about, hey, I'm going to sit you down. It was basically all my captains, and just said, you got to be a great teammate first, and just take a step back. And they've responded. And their mind's focusing on the right things. Sometimes when your mind focuses on whether your shot's going in or not, the other things just fall by the wayside. And their mind's focusing about the right things right now. And that's really changed us. You look back, since our 0-5 start, we've played much better. We've guarded as a team better. I think, we've had team defense has been much better. And obviously making shots some too. You look at our shooting percentage in those 5 games, it was just in the 20s, I think. We still don't have anybody in the top 10 3-point field goals made or 3-point field goal percentage. We don't have anybody in the top 10 there. But we are shooting better. So that's been a difference.
Hey, thanks a lot. Good luck.
All right, Harry.
Our next question is from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pentagraph.
Porter, your team has put yourself in a position where you possibly could avoid Thursday night in St. Louis. Is that something you talk or stress to the team with this week in these 2 upcoming games? And obviously I know you got your hands pretty full against Wichita State, but is that something maybe you mentioned early in the week?
I did, Jim. A handful of games ago, we all have our goal pyramids and things to start the year, and ours obviously was to win the conference. There became a point that because the hole we dug, that we knew, a couple games back, that we knew that we were not going to win the league, obviously. But we reset our goals. And, I think we kind of pushed the restart button on some things and in terms of some goals. And I'm a big believer is you got to be freaking fighting for something. And I just think these guys have shown some grit to battle back. And, for young people, you got a choice. They had a choice whether to pack it in and fold it up or to keep fighting. And our arrow's going up. But, obviously you want to get out of that last day, or that first day, I should say. You want to get out of there. So, yeah, we're in a 3-way tie with Missouri State and Indiana State for that last spot. So, we definitely are talking about that with our guys.
Thanks. Good luck this week.
Thanks.
Porter, that was your last question. Thanks for your time this morning, and good luck this week.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Our next scheduled coach to join us is Coach Brian Wardell of Bradley. The Braves opening up their week with a home game against Evansville tomorrow night, and then closing it out at Indiana State on Saturday. And we'll hold for just a moment. And we do have Coach Brian Wardell with us. The Braves again opening up their week with a game at home against Evansville tomorrow night on the NBC television network. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Wardell to the phone. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Nice coming off of the win against Drake the other night, and Evansville, a very tough opponent. They're sitting at tied for second in the league. Talk about your game with Evansville, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
I think they're playing really well right now. I've watched a lot of film, obviously yesterday and today, and I think, guys I think Brown's playing very well for them. I mean, I know they got the big two in Valentine and the big fella, but I think Brown is distributing the ball well, making jump shots, getting out in transition, making a lot of plays for them. And then when you have Simmons knocking down threes, it just adds another weapon to their arsenal. So been very impressed with them. I think, as every team does, they kind of go through little dips in a season because the season's so long, but I think they're kind of turning the corner right now and playing some of their best basketball on film that I've seen.
Coach Bobby sent me a note about Dante Thomas and making a case for one of the most improved players in the league from last year to this year. Him aside, who on of your freshmen has improved within this season the best for you?
Well, Luke Van Bray, obviously. I mean, he's played a lot. I've had about 4 or 5 that have played a lot of minutes, but I think Luke is consistent now. Every night he goes out, we know what we're going to get. If we can keep him out of foul trouble, he's going to score double digits. He's going to get around 6 rebounds. He's going to make plays. And so I think his confidence and his aggressiveness is growing. You look at, D'Lo, Dwayne has been playing very well last 5-6 games for us and scoring in double figures every game and making plays and playmaking for us. And then Antoine Pittman's come along. I mean, he's had some big games in league, but I think hopefully we can build off this last game. And he's been pretty banged up all year and hurt. I think last week has turned the corner health-wise and starting to get his athleticism and his burst back a little bit, which hopefully can help him down the stretch. So I've been happy with some of our freshmen in their development, and they're starting to become a little bit more consistent in their play, which is what we've been seeking out all year.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Brian Wardell. Questions from the media.
Press star, then the number 1 to ask your question. Star, then the number 1. Our first question comes from Daniel Alar with the Evansville Courier.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned some of the consistency coming around for this group. How would you, rate the progress of the program and this team kind of year one with a pretty much completely new roster?
Well, I've been pleased. I think we've let a few games slip away this year. That's about it. I mean, I think, I have self-satisfaction in what this group has done because I know based on what we're capable of doing. I think we have improved in so many areas besides the wins and losses as a program this year, which was vital. When it comes to the community, the academic side of things, the standards in the locker room, how we dress, walk, talk. I mean, you name it. I think the program has made huge strides in these other areas, which was my main goal this year. But basketball-wise, we've improved offensively as the year's gone on. Defensively, we have established some identity and some consistencies there with this group, and I've been pleased that our freshmen have started to play better as the year's gone on and has played better in February, which was important to see. So, I think looking at our roster going into the Valley and our strength of schedule in the non-conference, you knew wins were going to be tough to come by. You obviously compete and train and work to win. We hate losing, but I think we have done a good job of continually getting better, sustaining segments of play longer. Instead of playing 20 good minutes, we're starting to play 30 and 35, and we just got to keep working hard every day and keep trying to get better. And this group has had a great attitude and great effort every day.
When Pittman is healthy and has that burst, like you said, and I saw he had a career-high 20 the other day, what offensive skills does he bring?
Well, he can go make plays. I mean, he's athletic. He's a 6'2", 6'3", 200-pound strong athletic guard, and I think, a lot of the year he's just been he had a little bit of a knee problem. His Achilles has been sore and strained, and so he's been battling these things throughout the year. And I think over this last week he's just really started to feel a lot better because we can even see it in practice. So it was nice to see it come out in the game and see him really kind of have a segment of qualities that I saw when I recruited him of being able to go off the dribble, of shooting the ball from three, and just making plays. And if he can continue to build off that and stay consistent, I'd love to see what he could do down the stretch here.
You mentioned Evansville's balance coming around. When they're playing like that, do you still pretty much have to key in on Valentine and Miskevichus and live with the other guys making plays if that's what it comes to, or how do you other guys are playing?
Yeah, you got to make it tough on those guys. I mean, obviously with Miskevichus, you just can't give him angles and drop-offs and angles. He's so good at sealing and moving his feet and has soft hands, and he just knows how to work his way around the paint and work his way around the rim. So you got to do a good job of emphasizing that. And then Valentine's just such a heady, smart player. How he uses screens, how he cuts, how he moves without the basketball, and then he's a very good decision maker with it. When to shoot, when to pass, when to put it on the floor. I mean, his IQ is very, very high, and I think that's what Evansville is so scary. Is just offensively, I think they're the best passing team in the league and one of the best passing teams in the country. I just think they are such good passers. They have 3 or 4 guys over 40 assists on the year. They got guys that just know how to play and know how to move the ball and make very, very good decisions. So we're going to try to do our best to just try to not, let them just pass the ball around and let them be comfortable offensively, because I think if you do that, they're going to put up a lot of points on you this year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, that was your last question. Thank you for your time this morning, and good luck this week.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye. Dan Muller of Illinois State is with us. The Redbirds opening up Wednesday with a game at home against Southern Illinois on the NBC television network, closing it out on Saturday at Wichita State on ESPN2, nationally televised game at 1 o'clock. This time we'd like to welcome Coach Dan Muller to the phone. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Well, let's talk about Southern Illinois. They got you in a narrow decision last time at their place. Barry mentioned earlier that both teams are playing in completely different than they had when you guys played the first time. Your assessment on Wednesday's game for us?
Yeah, that game was a long time ago, and so the first challenge for both of us is, there's not as much familiarity as there is when you play each other in a shorter period of time. So scattering forward, all those things will be critical. They're dangerous. Everybody knows that. They've got certainly one of the best scorers in the league and a whole bunch of other guys that can hurt you when they make shots. They're really good offensively. We'd been playing good basketball, didn't play so well on Saturday, but a big night for us, senior night, and a very important game.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Dan Muller, questions from the media.
Press stars and number 1 to ask your question. Stars and number 1. Our first question is from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pentagraph.
Hey, Dan, when Barry was on the line, he said his dentist was even telling him about the impact of the game this week as far as seating purposes and all that. Is that something you'll talk with your players about when you guys come to practice today about what this game really can mean for the impact?
Well, that's why I don't go to the dentist during the season. It's really not. Jim, we've talked about it, and we've stayed the course as far as our focus and preparation for games, and we have not talked about seeding yet. I don't plan on talking about it before this game. The biggest things that we've talked about is, of course, the game prep and the practice, but we have talked about how important senior night is, as far as the other guys, the non-seniors, and I still remember as a player my senior night, and I also remember other people's senior nights. And sometimes that can backfire on you, so that's a tough one to manage with the emotions. But no, we won't address standings.
And Devon obviously was impacted Saturday with the migraines. Have you seen him yesterday or today? And do you think that that's going to be something that's going to be worrisome the rest of the season, even?
I have not seen him actually. It's something that I've worried about a little bit for the last 2 weeks because that's when he's been dealing with it. But there's nothing we can do about it other than the treatment and the medicine that he's taken and keeping our fingers crossed. So everybody knows, we all know how important Devon is to our team, and he's had a terrific year, and I'm hopeful because it's no fun. You can tell he's in pain at times, and he hasn't used that as an excuse, so he hasn't brought that up. But I do know it's been affecting him.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Jim.
Our next question is from Todd Hefferman with the Southern Newspaper.
Hey, Dan, how big a role is McIntosh playing for you right now?
Well, huge. Mikhail is what we believe in certain games is a big mismatch on the offensive end. We got to get him rebounding more. He actually has been in a bit of a slump percentage-wise the last few games shooting the ball, but we have to take advantage of when we think he has mismatches either on the perimeter or in the post, and certain teams put big men on him, certain teams put guards on him. So he's a big part of what we're doing, and you could see his lack of impact on our game on Saturday and how much it affected us.
Do you think about, putting him in motion with the basketball, or you try to do different things, or do you think he's taking the right shots? He's just not making them right now.
Yeah, he's just not making them. He had a tough one on Saturday, 1 for 6, which affects things. But we move him around. All of our guys, we've got 3 or 4 guys that will post up and play on the perimeter. We use ball screens, do different things. But the biggest thing for Mikhail, number one, he's got to stay out of foul trouble, which he got into on Saturday. But when he plays with the right speed, which isn't fast, it's fast and slow. Sometimes running over people is no good. Then he can be very dangerous.
And Bola has had 3 double-doubles in a row for SIU. How different does he look to you when you watch him on film now?
I wouldn't say a lot different, to be honest, because he's always been a high-level rebounder, in my opinion. Probably the biggest difference is he is scoring in the post a little bit more over both shoulders. He's going to be a dangerous offensive rebounder every night because of how physical, how hard he goes after every rebound. And he gets freed up on the boards because he's got guards on his team that create some rotations. So one thing you know about him, he's always going to compete.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dan, that was your final question. Appreciate your time this morning, and good luck this week. We'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. And we are joined now by Coach Gregg Marshall of Wichita State. The Shockers opening up their week at Loyola on Wednesday, closing out the regular season at home against Illinois State on Saturday. That game Saturday will be on ESPN2 at 1 o'clock. This time we'd like to welcome Gregg to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. Congratulations on another title, 4th in 5 years for the Shockers, and another outright title. 3 games last week by a margin of 30 or better. Certainly one of your finest weeks of results there. Congratulations on the week this past week.
Thanks. Yeah, guys are playing at a pretty high level right now on both ends, and just bounced back pretty well from the 2 out of 3 that we lost in league.
Your first game of the week is at Loyola. If you could talk a little bit about them. It's been a while since you played them, and you probably haven't had a chance to look at them with your game yesterday, but talk about the rematch against the Ramblers. You had them at your place and handled them pretty well the first time.
I looked at video of Indiana State, Loyola, in preparation for the Indiana State game, and obviously I was keeping an eye on Loyola at the same time, so they're playing much better. They're playing kind of like the team that everyone expected them to play like going into the year. They finished last year on such a high note and had a lot of guys returning from that team. And now they've kind of reached that same level of play, it seems, in the second half of the Valley. So we anticipate a team that's going to really play hard, defend very well, and they seem to be healthy now with Turk being back, shooting it well, along with Ingram and Doyle and Montel James and Peterson. They've got a lot of good players.
Coach, thank you. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Gregg Marshall. Questions from the media.
Press star, then the number 1 to ask your question. Star, then the number 1 to ask a question. Our first question comes from the line of Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Good morning, Greg. You know, in this great run that this senior class has had, obviously Evan Wessel is the guy that if you don't know what he's doing, like if you don't watch your team, you don't know how valuable he is. Can you talk a little bit about the contribution he's made for the 4 years there?
Yeah, Evans just all he does is win. He won 3 state championships in basketball at the highest level in Kansas. Many of those years they went undefeated. And then something that people don't realize is he won a state championship in football, which Heights is not known to do. And he was a starting safety, offered Division I Power 5 scholarship offers in football. But when they needed a touchdown on the final drive of his senior year, he was the wide receiver that caught the touchdown. So just really talented kid, old school throwback, plays all sports, does the little things, screens, gets loose balls, plays great defense, knows our system backwards and forwards, and is a true team guy.
Kind of the guy you look up teammate in the dictionary, and his picture's there.
Exactly. Yeah, he just everybody loves Evan, and he's got everyone's back. He's always talking to Richard Kelly when Kelly's in the game and helping him, with little nuances of how to play the position. And Kelly's playing very, very well now, but they share those minutes, and Evan doesn't care, who's out there playing. He just wants his team to win.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry.
Your next question comes from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pantograph.
Greg, every year is different, and maybe every championship is special in its own right. But for what you guys went through earlier in the season with the injuries and all that, is this one a little bit more special?
It was kind of expected, so expectations were that we would win the title. And the crazy thing, Jim, honestly, is people, are surprised when we lose, and that's a little bit of a burden to bear. You got 18 games, 2 a week for 9 weeks, and you're going in some tough spots. They circle that date on the calendar when the Shockers are coming in. So the fact that we lost 2 and all of a sudden the invincibility's gone and all that, that's what I like. I like the fact that going into the final week, we're 3 games ahead of second place, and basically, I don't want to say we coast into the championship, but that is it's a formality. It's just that's really not been in the last couple of weeks what we've been talking about at all. As we've been talking more about what we have to do to get in the NCAA tournament.
And I know your focus is on Wednesday, but Saturday will be a special day with Fred and Ron and Evan. Have you let yourself kind of think ahead a little bit to their last time playing in Coke Arena?
Yeah, I really don't even want to think about it, Jim. It's going to be a very emotional day. Those guys have meant so much. The 3 seniors that have been here 14 years total, they've meant so much to our program, the university, the city, the state, the league, and college basketball for that matter. It's just going to be another last, like on their farewell tour, and this will be a tough one, but I know the way they are, that they'll handle it, and they'll probably play very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Just one follow-up note for Harry. Evan Wessel is the active leading winner in the NCAA with a 104-12 record in games in which he played. That's best among any player in the NCAA. Greg, there's no other questions in the queue for you. Thank you for your time, and good luck this week.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
All right, go ahead. This does wrap up our call. We'll ask the beat writers to stay on the line for a roundtable of our beat writers, and then we'll have everyone else disconnect at this time.